Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is February the 11th, 2026. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day to ya. Hopefully you humped and didn't get humped. Unless that's what you're into, then by all means, have at it, my little rabbits. But no, my day was good. My day was solid. We took a couple of L's, but yet we bounced back. We'll get into it. Let's see here. So, started off the day pretty good, pretty solid. Got ourselves together, got to work in a timely fashion. I don't know if I mentioned this, but now I feel more inclined to actually go to work a little bit later. Once again, mentioning the whole clock-in system change. They let us know, and this has already been a thing. I knew this from like the big meeting or whatever, that we no longer get to clock in like 10 minutes early like we used to. Excuse me. We actually now have to clock in 5 minutes early. So that kind of changes my whole like time trajectory nowadays. So now instead of trying to get there like early as fuck so that I can make sure I'm there, maybe clock in 10, 15, get in early, there's no point. Like literally the clock in system won't let me swipe my badge. So I'm like, well, if that's the case, and judging by kind of how attendance went for me last year, and I'm realizing like, oh, as long as I have my PTO covered, like it's not going to be an attendance issue. We're fine. I mean, I got to be careful, obviously, not to like be like 20 minutes late every day, but within reason, I'm going to be fine. There's no worries here. I don't have to like run myself ragged, worrying about it. Just get to work best of your ability. They've even said that if you don't have your badge, you should go home and take the time loss. Like it is, we would rather you do that. In fact, if you don't do that and you tell us that you can't get your badge, then we are going to charge you for that badge. I'm like, all right, we get it. This is serious business, this whole badge shit. Okay, awesome. But anyway, we get to work. Work's fine. The biggest problem I have today on this Wednesday was that there wasn't enough work. It was so slow. And technically, this has been a very slow week. They have a lot of the people upstairs doing bin maintenance, essentially literally taking out the cardboard bins on the floor that hold the clothes, that, you get all the shirts and you put them in the boxes, yada, 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 like those bins. And they're swapping them out with new cardboard bins. So it's a whole process. It's a whole thing. We do it every year. It's almost like a shed skin thing, like a snake. But it's so slow that they just have more people in our department doing that. And it's like, I mean, okay, cool. I'm not trying to do that though. So that puts me in a situation where I have to do putbacks, which is very boring. I don't like doing that. I would prefer to be at the crusher. Long time listeners, y'all know this. So, I was trying to avoid doing any putbacks, but it was inevitable today. I think we got through halfway through the day, which was kind of a blessing in and of itself, before I was like, I have to go upstairs. So went upstairs, did about several putbacks. And then I was like, I got to get out of here. Like, I got to get out of here early. And I was thinking this the whole day. And by the time I was really like strongly considering it, it turns out my supervisor had just left. They had already left for the day. I was so salty because they got on the radio saying, hey, I'm taking a break. And I'm like, okay, so when they come back from their break, I'll ask if I can just go home early so I can use my PTO. That way I'm covered. And they just didn't come back. So I stopped by their desk like 2 times and I'm like, man, what the hell? So I decide, okay, I'm just going to dirtle. I'm going to hang out as best I can. I'm going to do some more putbacks, whatever, do a little bit of cardboard, and then I'm going to get out of here at like 4 o'clock. So essentially I got out about 30 minutes early, which is luckily not bad. I shouldn't really notice that on the paycheck and wince too hard. But I know that this is a slippery slope situation. It's only Wednesday in February. So I just know I got to be careful. I know I got to really try to stay as long as I can and not use PTO, try to save my stuff. So anyway, We get out of work early, which more times than not you would consider a dub, but I am taking as an L, slight L, because less money is actually more problems. But anyway, digress. We're going to take this out at the gym. We're going to be fine, all right? It's Wednesday. Usually, y'all know the vibes. Usually by Wednesday, it's not as busy. Maybe a little bit busy at the gym, but we're okay. We get everything that we want, right? Not today. Not today we didn't. So I go in there. I see two pips. Unsettling, but we'll be all right. I even see a Smith machine open as I'm walking in. So I'm thinking we're going to be okay. I get myself together, get my little workout fit on. I'm looking like Adam Sandler in this motherfucker. And, I walk over to the Smith machine. Nothing. No action. I look over at the free weights. Every bench is taken. Like it's Party City over there. And I'm like, this is my nightmare. This is my waking nightmare. We are in February. All the quitters are supposed to be gone. It's a Wednesday. They are not gone. They are here. They are getting a pump. They are in my way. They are not going anywhere. So, what's a guy to do? What can you do? It's filler work. That's what I did. So I essentially just hit my little, filler circuit, if you will. In between that, I did some core work, which was cool. Glad I was at least able to get that machine. W. And then I just did some cardio, and that was it. I think this was the worst workout technically of the year so far. One of the worst workouts I've had in a while, and that's saying something because I've worked out injured. But so it goes. I know that sometimes you just gotta chalk it up to hey, today's an active rest day. You didn't lift crazy, you didn't go super hard, you didn't get what you wanted out of the gym, but you know what you did? You showed up. And consistency is key. I'll keep saying that. I'll keep preaching that, okay? It's the only thing I got to hold on to, all right? But no, truly, despite the fact that we had a couple of losses there in terms of the a little bit of time loss in terms of the job, and then a bit of a loss at the gym with it being too busy. I was thinking about this, man. It would have been nice if they just kind of switched places. Like if it was busy at the job, I would have been at the crusher all day. Cool, awesome, thumbs up. We'd love that. And then if it was slow at the gym, I would have gotten every piece of equipment I wanted. But hey, sometimes things are topsy-turvy. And that's just how it goes. But anyway, we got home, we did our stretch, we had our snack, and we did some research. The huge. We got back to terra firma. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. Oh, I should have got more water. Ugh. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. All right. Oh, a bit of food corner actually before we get started. We did have a treat day at work. We had popcorn. And then also over the past couple days, in maintenance, there sits a box of spicy bold Cheez-Its. Which, look, real ones know, real Isaiah heads know, I don't fuck with Cheez-Its. I don't like them. I talk so much shit about Cheez-Its and Goldfish. They are on my anti-list. But I've been so hungry in the mornings, and I just walk over to them, and there's usually some business related thing. Like there's some reason I have to be over there. Like, oh, the crush is full. Let me check in with maintenance or yada, yada, yada. I got to talk to them real quick about something, or I want to, whatever. And I see the box and it's talking to me like it's Green Goblin, like open me, eat me. And I do, I listen. And it's bad because I'm liking what it's saying. Like, that's not good. I'm getting too hungry. I don't know. It's wild. But that being said, I mean, hey, it's nice that I'm having a reappreciation for the Cheez-It. I haven't liked a Cheez-It since I was a child. And even then, I didn't like it. But I still have to say, mid-tier snack. There's so many, like, I would much rather a rich cheese cracker. Like the Ritz crackers with the cheese in the middle. Way better. Okay, like there's just so many things that you could have that are better than a Cheez-It or a Goldfish. I stand on that, but I will make the concession. when you're hungry, famished even, starving, it's not a bad option, especially if we're talking spicy. But even then, not the best. Could do without. Anyway, moving on. From CNN. Police identify suspect in Canada mass shooting as investigation into motive continues. Also, there's another article I use here too that we're probably going to run through maybe a little bit more of it from The Guardian. Tumbler Ridge school shooting. Police identify suspect in Canada attack as 18-year-old local resident as it happened. Both are kind of styled as like the breaking news kind of ticker situation. So that's how we're going to just kind of read through it real quick. But back to CNN. Police identified a suspect. An 18-year-old female is suspected to have shot and killed at least 8 and wounded, and wounded dozens today at a school and home in northeast British Columbia, Canada, police say. Let's see. We're actually going to we'll segue to the Guardian one because it's going to have everything that I kind of want to read through. Police revised the death toll down to 9 people, including a suspect, after a female victim with significant injury survived. She remained in critical condition. So yeah, last night when I initially read the headline, it had said 10 people. And I guess, throughout the day, it got updated to be like, okay, no, I was actually 9, 8 plus the shooter. A 39-year-old found deceased at the suspect's family residence was the mother of the suspect, and the 11-year-old victim was the suspect's stepbrother. The deaths at the private residence occurred first before the suspect went to the high school. Police were called to the home after they had been called to the school by a female youth who is related to the suspect and victims. Those killed at the school were a 39-year-old teacher, 3 12-year-old female students, and 2 male students, aged 12 and 13. One victim was found in the stairwell, and the others were located in the school's library. 2 firearms were recovered at the scene, a long gun and a modified handgun. Police are still working to determine their origins and the role in the incident. The suspect had a firearms license that had expired in 2024 and did not currently have any firearms registered to her. The suspect had dropped out of Tumbler Ridge Secondary School about 4 years ago and was not currently a student there. There is no information at this point to suggest any of the victims of the school were specifically targeted. Police had attended the suspect's family residence on multiple occasions over the past several years, dealing with mental health concerns of the suspect. This included one police attendance to the home approximately 2 years ago, where firearms were seized under the criminal code. The lawful owner of those firearms petitioned for them to be returned, and they were. The suspect was born a biological male who had started transitioning about 6 years ago and identified in public and on social media as female. The suspect is believed to have acted alone. Police don't yet have an idea as to what the suspect's motive was. So, obviously, a lot of details, and I imagine there will be more to come. Oh, I didn't say the name of the suspect. 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootseller. So, yeah, obviously a very unfortunate situation. It's not common that this is something that happens in Canada. I'm not going to lie. When I initially read the headline, saw the story, I at a glance, I was like, oh, so this is like an American one. Like, okay, top of the year, this is a big one. Let's get into it. And I was like, no, North America, sure. But we're talking Canada, actually. And I was like, oh, whoa. But yeah, I mean, they do have stricter gun laws. Usually, I think you can have something like a sporting, like hunting rifle kind of situation. But, you have to go through, have a license and all that. But even so, these things can happen. Obviously, it's very sad. It's very unfortunate. But that being said, I would still like to see a regulation system like this, as opposed to what we have in the States. That's neither here nor there. Something that I've at least, I know it's very grim and sad, but it's nice that there's at least not so much coverage over like, oh, what was this person's identity? Da 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 da. I feel like in America, we are so quick to scramble for those kind of reasonings and things to like blend into the motive, inject into the circumstances. It's like, okay, we need to talk about this as opposed to the violence and the victims. Like it's definitely seeming to be more of a passive thing, which I actually can appreciate here. But that being said, obviously condolences for the victims, everyone involved here. I'm sure there's going to be more coming out on this. So I'm sure we will be coming back to the story. But I wanted to start with that. Let's see here. Moving on, though, to Pam Bondi, or as I like to say, Scam Blondie, from The Guardian. You're a washed-up loser lawyer. Pam Bondi taunts Democrats over Epstein. So, dude, we're so back. We're so back. I can't remember. This was about maybe 2-3 months ago or something. Pam Bondi was in front of Congress before answering some questions. She brought the same heat. She brought the same intensity. She was bold. She was spicy, just like the cheeses I ate, okay? And just like our president. Okay, yummy. Let's get into it. The U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi attacked and insulted Democrats during a House Judiciary Committee hearing on Wednesday as she defended the Justice Department's handling of files related to Jeffrey Epstein. Democrats pounded Bondi with questions, about the way the department has complied with a law last year mandating the complete release of the files with specific and limited room for redactions. Since releasing the documents after the statutory deadline, the Justice Department has come under intense scrutiny, both for releasing the names of survivors and redacting without explanation the names of people who may have committed crimes. Bondi avoided addressing the questions about the way the department has handled the files. After being pressed by the representative Pramila Jayapal of Washington, Bondi also declined to turn around from her seat at the hearing table and apologize to Epstein victims who were in the hearing room. I'm not going to get in the gutter with this woman. She's doing theatrics, Bondi said. Dude, I gotta give at least some kind of fucking credit to Bondi, and then also, what's her name? Caroline Caroline, whatever the fuck. These motherfuckers are so 10 toes down for Donnie. They don't care, motherfucker. Their job is making sure that he is being defended, that you are paying proper homage, that you are not minding the fucking shit that they are doing. How dare you? They are so about this shit. It's unnerving. It's frustrating. But I have to give them their fucking flowers over it, man. It's so funny. It's so wild how they're just actually, I'm going to be the nastiest person. Fuck any kind of pretense, protocol, civility. No, I don't need to use that. You're not my boss. They're coming at it with this kind of energy, man. And obviously they're not the only ones. Old Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel, I don't know why I said his name all funky. But Kash Patel, they all are down for their man. They all stand by their man. And I gotta give them that. Let's keep reading. Let's see. Bondi also sparred heavily with Jamie Raskin of Maryland, the top Democrat on the committee, as he sought to prevent the Attorney General from using long, meandering answers to eat up the 5 minutes members are allotted to ask questions, which is a smart tactic. Once again, this is not new to her. She's true to this fucking shit, dude. At the end of the day, she knows that you are only here to do the tar and feather witch hunt bullshit. So she's just no. The best defense is actually good offense. I'm going to come for each and every one of you the only ways that I think I can. Or I'm going to obfuscate the conversation and blah, 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 and just run out the clock. Okay, next. And once again, winding up talking about absolutely fucking nothing. To some extent, it's a masterclass. Unfortunately. Let me keep reading. When Raskin said he had warned Bondi about eating up time at the outset of the hearing, Bondi replied by yelling, "You don't tell me anything. You're a washed up loser lawyer. You're not even a lawyer," she said to Raskin, which I think is very funny to say that when you were literally weeks ago defending Lindsay Halligan, someone who's barely even a fucking lawyer, not actually qualified to do the shit she was doing in Virginia, and you defended her to the hilt, saying, "Why don't you let us do our job? Why won't you let her be a lawyer?" Though she was doing the shit so bad it was damn near criminal. Girl, what are you talking about? It's so crazy. Oh man, I want to have this kind of moxie. I want to have this kind of fucking loyalty and dedication to this fucking job like this, man. It would be it's on the point. I think. Do you think she believes it? I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if she buys her own shit that she sells or it's just like, whatever. It doesn't matter. This is a gig. I know what I signed up for. I think it's that. I think all these fucking freaks are very well aware of what they're doing. But sometimes you wonder if it's passion, if they really fucking like feel the funk. I don't know. Let's see. I want to get into it, but like I think a Huckabee. I can't remember his first name, but you look him up, you see that motherfucker. I think he definitely believes some of the shit he be saying sometimes. But anyway, Mike Huckabee, there it was. I remember. Fuck Mike Huckabee. That's a whole other issue. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm in the weeds. The Justice Department has struggled with the redactions in the millions of documents it has released, at times taking documents down from its website that should have not been released, and at others removing redactions. Zoe Lofgren, a California Democrat, pressed Bondi over the on the overly broad redactions on Wednesday, saying the Justice Department had lost credibility. I find it interesting that she keeps going after President Trump, the greatest president in American history, Bondi said. The Attorney General and the Justice Department have typically kept themselves at arm's length from the president and the White House to avoid the perception of political interference in law enforcement, a norm that has been shattered by Trump. And we can say, yes, it's been shattered by Trump, but you have to understand that all of these motherfuckers have risen to meet that. Like, they've all, like, from Pete Hegseth to, once again, Caroline Leavitt, insert any one of these motherfucking freaks of the week, they are down to ride. They do not care. It's fuck the rules. It's what does my liege want? What does my fucking orange Odo demand of me? And I will see it happen. Like, they are sometimes aiming to please this man. They do not care about whatever the law is. They've literally said in so many ways that the executive branch, that the president is the law. He's everything. He's the end all be all to the shit. So what are we talking about here? He's making the rules. He's setting the rules. He's setting the pace. It's just so crazy. Like, I think it that way you do have to believe this shit so that you can just walk on water, right? I don't know, man. But like, essentially, yeah, she just goes through and just keeps talking shit. I mean, there's more details here. It is worth mentioning that Howard Lutnick, because they mentioned this in the article, his name got mentioned at least, but he did wind up having a sit down with Congress as well. It wasn't supposed to be over the Epstein files, but they kind of were like, no, we need to talk about that because you literally are in a podcast. You've made multiple statements saying you hung out with Epstein one time and it was with you and your wife. And he was really fucking freaky and weird and like was talking about he has a massage table in the middle of the room and he gets freaky out massages and you're like, that's gross. I never want to talk to that guy again. And we never talked to him again. That's what you said, Howard. And then it turns out several years after the fact, and that's post knowledge of him being a fucking pedophile, you hung out with him with your family. And he's like, yeah, I did that. It's crazy, dude. Like, yeah, I did that. That's it. Like, it kind of almost wanted to move on, bro. Like, it's wild, bro. It's so wild, man. And nothing's going to happen to this guy. He's not going to get fired. He's not going to lose his job. Because, once again, these are the guys who are running the fucking show. They say yes to the man, and they get to keep the power no matter what. There's a reason, like, the only guy that's gotten fired so far is the Mike Waltz guy. He just got regulated to the fucking, I don't know, E-team. I haven't really heard much from him. But, you know, he's around. He's doing shit. So yeah, man, it's fucking wild. But anyway, she did her thing, old scam Blondie. And, you know, not that this wasn't going to change anything. Once again, any of these kind of hearings and sit downs are always the same. It is us trying to get you in a fucking legal little goof 'em up. And now we got you, or we're at least going to make you look stupid. That is always the intent of these things. So, you know, you got to give credit where it's due. Pam Bondi knew what the fuck was going to happen. And so she said, no, I'm going to fucking turn the tables on you guys. You guys actually suck. Go fuck yourselves. And, you know, for that, well, I'll give you some credit. I'll give you an eagle screech. That's a terrible eagle screech. I don't have a voice. Caw-caw. Whatever. Use your imagination. An eagle screeched. Anyway, I have another story. I'm going to take a water break because I'm quite parched. But this one's from CBS News. Oh, man. And I've been to the desert on a horse with no name. Sorry. Airspace closure followed spat over drone-related tests and party balloon shoot down, sources say. Dude, another year, another bad balloon. Bro, I'm beginning to think the biggest threat to our skies are balloons. I think that you're truly the greatest threat America faces. It's not a nuke. It's not China. Well, maybe it is a Chinese balloon, but it is any kind of balloon device. We need to be aware. We need to be careful. We need to blow that shit out. Let me get into it. I'm sorry. The unexpected but brief airspace closure in the Texas border city of El Paso stemmed from disagreements between the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and Pentagon officials over drone-related tests, multiple sources close to the matter told CBS News. The Pentagon had undertaken extensive planning on the use of military technology near Fort Bliss, a military base that abuts the El Paso International Airport, to practice taking down drones. Two sources identified the technology as a high-energy laser. Meetings were scheduled over safety impacts, but Pentagon officials wanted to test the technology sooner, stating that U.S. Code 1301 requirements governing the protection of certain facilities from unmanned aircraft had not been met. FAA Administrator Brian Bedford on Tuesday night decided to close the airspace without alerting White House, Pentagon, or Homeland Security officials, sources said. Bedford told officials the airspace restrictions would be in place to ensure safety until issues with the War Department could be resolved. The FAA declined to comment. The critical bulletin issued to pilots and airlines not to fly below 18,000 feet was initially set for 10 days, a duration for a full grounding not used since 9/11 terror attacks. The FAA notice warned violators risk being shot down. See, this was weird because it was one of those things where I had kind of went to sleep, woke up, and I saw this notification, and I was like, this is so weird. And there was no real reasoning behind it. But then as the day kind of went on, more of the story kind of unfolded, and here we are. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. But it was just so like strange. I'm like, is there something going on? Like, I know we had the whole, we were talking like Canada Air and all that. I mean, they had the fuel thing with Cuba. And I'm like, well, this isn't related to that, right? I was just trying to figure it out. And it turns out this is an internal spat between the FAA and the fucking Pentagon over like low key some bullshit. But let's keep on reading. Let's see here. Customs and Border Protection used a laser weapon earlier this week after training from the U.S. Military, according to multiple sources familiar with its deployment. Officials had recently given the FAA a 10-day window in which the technology would be used. The anti-drone technology was launched near the southern border to shoot down what appeared to be foreign drones. The flying material turned out to be a party balloon, sources said. One balloon was shot down, several sources said. So we knocked that motherfucker out, okay? And if that was a fucking drone, it would have been dusted. I don't know. They go into a blah, 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 yada, yada, yada about this is all about cartel drones and they want to protect the skies from that. And we could go into a whole thing about, isn't it so crazy, drones and crime now? And isn't that wild? And blah, I don't care, man. We talk about drones all the time. They're getting used all the time in Ukraine and all that shit. Through Ukraine and Russia, drone warfare is real. Like, this is pretty much a fucking Kojima game at this point, what we're living in. We're in his timeline now. And in some ways, I am okay with that. That's fine with me. But it's just so goofy. It's so goofy. This is the second time I'm covering a fucking military grade issue that essentially what's to do about it? It's a fucking balloon. It's just floating there. Like, what's going on? Well, who knows? It might be a spy balloon. It might be a Chinese spy balloon. It could be a weather balloon. It could be a party balloon in this situation. Who knows? But it's done now. Bam! They're gone. That's so sick. I also love the Magoo energy here of, once again, two American departments just not really being able to fully coordinate, and one being too gun-ho to, like, not wait. And you just couldn't be patient. Like, we gotta start fucking using the laser. We gotta get that laser popping. Pew, 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 pew. So, hell yeah, dude. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. Anyway, we have one more story that I wanted to close out with. And it is an update from the update yesterday with Nancy Guthrie. So yeah, let's go ahead and center ourselves for the last break, and then we'll close this out. And I proudly stand up next to you, and you still today. I'm sure you guys hate when I sing like this, but I can't help myself. Brother, God bless the USA. Fuck, man. Ooh. All right. NBC News. Live update. Man detained for questioning in Nancy Guthrie investigation is released. A man who was detained last night for questioning in the disappearance of Today, co-anchor Savannah Guthrie's mother, was released after several hours, authorities said. Sorry, I know yesterday I said the Good Morning Show or Good Morning America. That's my bad. It was the Today Show. The man, who identified himself as Carlos Palazuelos, told Telemundo that his house in Rio Rico, south of Tucson, was searched as part of the investigation. Palazuelos, a delivery driver, said that he doesn't remember delivering anything to Guthrie's house and that he doesn't know who she is and wasn't involved in the kidnapping. Telemundo is part of NBC Universal, as is NBC News. So yeah, then they kind of go through the security footage stuff that we talked about. It turns out that she was unsubscribed. I don't know if I mentioned this previously, but she was unsubscribed from like the video aspect of the Ring camera that she had. It's not an actual Ring camera, I don't think, but like I'm just using the colloquial, whatever. But apparently there's some level of recording that takes place even if you're not subscribed, like even if you're not actually using the service. So that was good to know. I didn't think about that until like the podcast I was listening to on Start Here mentioned that. It's like, yeah, there's some privacy things there, but you know, that's not really the main concern now. And it's like, no, true, very true. But this goes back to one of my long-standing things that I say to people: privacy is kind of a fucking lie. It's a thin veil. It's a fig leaf. It's there in theory, but if you want quote unquote this thing, you're gonna have to give up what? Some privacy. Like it's almost in every single aspect of this. And I know now is not the time to talk about this. A woman is missing, but you know, that being said, I guess getting back onto the path here. Really, then there's not much to update in terms of the suspect. Doesn't seem to be actually the main suspect. It looks like they're still looking. They're still looking for Nancy. So that's still an ongoing thing. And I don't want to do any more rumor mill stuff. I kind of touched on it a little bit. I don't want to get on that again. But that being said, it is something I am talking about off the pod, and shit is cooking. That is for sure. So I really hope that, hopefully for the best, that we come back to the story with some good news. I would really love to come back with some good news. We're knocking on wood about that, but that is where we are going to leave it for today. That's going to be the episode for today. So yes, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Follow me or subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. I should be available. I'm even on Podbean. I always like mentioning Podbean. Who up hitting a bean? I'm not going to say what I want to say there. No, Let's see. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. Always helpful. Always appreciated. You spread the word about the podcast. Tell a friend, maybe, dude. Actually, I always say don't. I always like get shy because I gatekeep the podcast. But like, hey, you're a real one if you've ever talked about the pod and you say, hey, I listened to this random like stoner dude who's like kind of on his totally Kyle shit, and it's kind of lit sometimes. I don't even know how you pitch it. That would be wild. Anyway, don't do that. But you'd be a lot cooler if you did. No. 5 stars on Spotify, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts are always appreciated. That's a good for the algo. Whatever. I don't know. It's appreciated all the same. But if you don't do that, that's all right. I really just appreciate you giving me the chance to yap at you. It really makes my day. So yeah, hopefully we can do it again sometime. No? But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.